All right, let's dive into one of the most incredible creation stories from the Aztec world. We're talking about the birth of our reality, the fifth sun. And the wild part? It wasn't born from brute strength or endless riches, but from humility, from courage, and from the ultimate sacrifice.
So just try to picture this, a universe that's basically holding its breath. The fourth sun, the previous world, was gone, and in its place, an endless, freezing night. The god Quetzalcoatl put it perfectly. The heavens are empty, the earth is still. Absolutely nothing is moving, nothing's growing. Even the gods are just lost in this huge cosmic darkness.
Here's how we're going to walk through this amazing story. We'll start in that desperate, sunless world. Then we'll see the call for a hero. We'll meet our two very different contenders, face that trial by fire, witness the birth of our sun and our moon, and finally, we'll unpack the incredible lesson at the heart of it all.
Okay, so let's start there, in that desolate twilight. After the last world was wiped out by a massive flood, existence just stopped. Everything was grinding to a halt, freezing over, trapped in this heavy, stagnant silence. The stakes were simple. Without a new sun, everything would just end.
And get this, even the gods were absolutely terrified. They all gathered at the sacred city of Teotihuacan, the place where time itself was born. But they're shivering. It wasn't from the cold. It was this deep existential dread. They knew, they could feel it, that the entire universe was right on the edge of total collapse.
So into all this despair steps Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. He comes to the other gods with a solution, but it is a horrifying one. To bring back the dawn, a terrible price has to be paid. One of them, a god, must willingly sacrifice their entire existence.
And this price has a name: divine immolation. It means a god has to volunteer to jump into a giant, sacred bonfire. And we're not just talking about death here. This is total annihilation, a cosmic furnace that will burn away your very being, all for the chance to be reborn as the new sun. I mean, who in their right mind would volunteer for that?
Well, turns out someone does. The first to step forward is Tecuciztecatl, the Lord of Riches. And his words right here tell you everything you need to know about his motive. It's all about pride, all about glory. He doesn't see this as a sacrifice for the world. He sees it as the ultimate chance to have his own magnificence lighting up the sky forever.
But wait, the story's not that simple. Just as the gods are about to accept Tecuciztecatl's offer, a second, way more unlikely volunteer is called on. And this is what sets up the central conflict of the entire myth, a huge showdown between pride and humility.
And the contrast between these two, it could not be more dramatic. On one side, you've got Tecuciztecatl. He's wealthy, he's powerful, covered in gold and fancy feathers. And on the other side, Nanahuatzin, a pretty minor, almost forgotten god, physically weak and covered in painful sores. One of them represents worldly power, and the other represents inner strength.
The 4 days they spend preparing for the sacrifice. Well, that's where you really see who they are. Tecuciztecatl offers his wealth: rare coral, solid gold, exotic feathers, things he has, but that don't really cost him anything of himself. But Nanahuatzin, he offers the only things he truly has: simple reeds, straw mats, and most powerfully, the scabs from his own wounds. He offers his pain. He offers his truth.
So this all leads up to the final, fateful night. The 4 days of penance are done. The ceremonial pyre is now this roaring mountain of flame, a true furnace of creation. The entire cosmos is just waiting. The time has come.
Since he volunteered first, Tecuciztecatl, our proud god, gets the first shot. He has 4 chances to prove he's got what it takes.
He strides forward, just full of arrogance, but the second he feels that blistering, all-consuming heat, his confidence just shatters. He flinches back, he tries again, but the terror is just too much. 4 times he runs towards the flames, and 4 times his fear just completely crushes his desire for glory. He fails.
The other gods? You can just imagine. They are disgusted. Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, basically yells what they're all thinking. The one who seemed so strong was completely empty inside. It feels like all hope is lost. The universe is doomed to stay dark forever.
And then, a quiet movement. Nanahuatzin, the humble, sick god, he gets up. There's no boasting, no hesitation. He just closes his eyes, focuses not on getting glory, but on the light the world desperately needs, and he runs. He runs straight into the heart of the fire, sacrificing himself completely, not for himself, but for everyone else.
His act of pure courage, it changes everything. But hold on, the story isn't quite over yet. In the aftermath, a brand new, totally unexpected problem pops up, one that's going to shape our sky forever.
So Nanahuatzin is reborn as this magnificent, life-giving sun. It worked. But seeing this, a deeply shamed Tecuciztecatl finally musters his courage and leaps into the fire after him. And the result? A second, weaker sun appears in the sky. And now the gods have a whole new crisis. Two suns are going to burn the earth to a crisp.
Okay, so the gods have to think fast. They decide that the sun born from shame can't shine as brightly as the one born from courage. So Quetzalcoatl, he just grabs a nearby rabbit, and with all his divine strength, he hurls it right at the face of that second sun. The impact scars its surface and dims its light, transforming it into our moon. And according to the myth, that's why, even today, you can still see the shape of a rabbit on its surface.
And just like that, our world is saved. But the story leaves us with this really profound lesson about power, about courage, and about creation itself. A lesson that really defines the world we all live in. Imagine that moment. As Nanahuatzin, the true sun, finally rose into the sky, his warm light just flooded the world. The frozen river started to flow again. Plants started to grow. This was it. This was the birth of our era, the fifth world, a reality founded on the selfless act of the humblest God of all. And that really leaves us with a huge question to think about, doesn't it? This myth is telling us that true creative power, the kind of power that can actually birth a world, it doesn't come from wealth or from pride. It comes from humility, from self-sacrifice, from a quiet courage. It's a pretty powerful idea to consider, that our very existence is a testament to the kind of strength you find not in the mighty, but in the humble.